I'm so excited that I get to talk today to my dear friend, Julianna Margulies, about her new book, Sunshine Girl.
Okay, Reese Witherspoon,
Little
bring it
Julie.
on.
We've been working together on season 2 of Morning Show, which nobody knows anything about, but it's been such a dream getting to work with you, to getting to know you, to having dinners with you and sharing like what our philosophies about life, about motherhood, about work, being working women for so long, and we haven't ever really met, but this was this really beautiful time where we got to connect and really get to know each other. And then you have this book that you said to me, oh, I have this book coming. I was like, I have to read it. I need to know more. So thank you for writing this beautiful book, so emotional and so real about your experiences, and was not what I thought it was going to be at all.
Oh, really? What
No,
were you expecting?
I thought it was going to be more about your career, your life in Hollywood, the ups and downs. And that's definitely in the book, like for sure.
Yeah, towards the end, yeah.
Yeah, but you had such an interesting childhood, and I so let's start at the beginning.
The title of the book is called Sunshine Girl because that was my mother's nickname for me, because I smiled. I wasn't a difficult child. I was easygoing. But that narrative stays with you as you grow up into a woman, and that's really what the book became about. What does that nickname mean, and how did that affect me in all my other relationships in my life? When I was born, my parents were already separated pretty much, so I was a kid who was constantly flying back and forth across the Atlantic to see either parent. There was never any kind of stability for me as a child. And I decided that I needed to find some sort of calm through all the chaos. That really is what the book is about.
Well, you beautifully remember so much vivid detail about your childhood. And I think what struck me was how you had to be so grown up, especially as a teenage girl. And you went from kind of one economic situation to a completely different economic situation with your mom. What was really poignant, I thought, in the book is that you talked to your dad about how what you really wanted at one point was to be with him. And you it took you till your adult life to say, why didn't you want me all the time?
I always put my dad up on this pedestal because he was so handsome and incredibly successful in his field. He, in my mind, as a child, lived this very glamorous life. So when I was with my father, I thought maybe we were rich. But then when I would go home to live with my mother, I actually had a draft of this in the book, but it didn't make it. I remember once seeing her, she was wringing out paper towels and hanging them to dry, and I burst into tears and said, we can't be this poor, Mom. How can this be? None of it made sense to me, but because I was labeled Sunshine Girl, I just accepted it. So my mother got the brunt of all my anger, and I never ever blamed my father. And then it wasn't until I was pregnant and I found this box of letters that my father had lovingly given me, all the letters that he saved that I had written him when I was a little girl. And it's a mother's instinct and its protection. So when I was pregnant and reading these letters from this little 11-year-old girl saying, when am I going to see you again? And I miss you so much. And this is so hard. And then suddenly as an adult going, wait a minute, how can you be on the other side of that letter and not hop on a plane and come and get me? Listen, my mother was incredible because through all of this, she gave me so much love. And I preface that in the book. And I talk about her with such kindness because I have a great relationship with her now. But we worked hard on it. I would love to impart on other people is that as children, we feel helpless. But as adults, we can change that narrative. But here I was, 40 years old, pregnant, reading these letters, and I called him and I said, what were you thinking? Weren't we important enough? You were living this fancy life on the Upper East Side, and we were living in squalor. About 3 days later, I got a 9-page letter.
This letter is so profound. And I want you to talk about it, but it really resonated to me, first of all, because you can define your adult relationship with your parents. It's such a huge thing that I never heard and never learned. And I saw it so actively acted out in your book. And then also his response to your honesty.
Like your reaction, everyone who's read the book so far tells me that that letter made them cry.
Yeah.
Because what it is instead of him defending himself, he says, this is what was going on in my life at the time. And I really thought I was doing the best I could, but I see that wasn't enough. And I'm sorry, forgive me. As kids, we don't realize our parents are only human and we all make mistakes, you know? And that's strong, you know? To hear a parent say, forgive me.
Yeah. To take responsibility for what didn't happen. I think as a parent, we're all just struggling to do the best we can, but you hope that your children give you an opportunity to tell your side of the story, because you don't always tell your little child what happened, especially if you're going through a divorce. To take responsibility and say sorry is so deeply healing. But talk a little bit about your days as a young actress, because I loved reading the parts about you being a waitress at 150 Wooster and the people who were really crappy to you.
But now looking back, I'm so grateful I had that experience, because it's made me fearless, strangely. Someone said to me the other day, everyone, it doesn't matter, acting, whatever industry you're in, everyone should work in the food industry, because, or the service industry, you know, in the hotel industry, whatever it is, because when you're doing customer service, the customer's always right.
Can't you just tell so much about people by the way they treat waiters and waitresses?
You know, you work hard as a waitress, and during the day I would run around on auditions, and then at night I would be on my feet for, 10 hours slinging hash, as we used to call it.
Well, we got to talk about ER. I mean,
okay.
We talked a little bit about how you got this iconic role of Carol Hathaway, because it's such a great story. I remember reading about it when I was a young actress and going, oh, that is such a great story.
George Clooney always used to say, yes, we got lucky, but it's also how the stars aligned. Mm-hmm. Because the six of us had such a great chemistry together, and the show just came at such an incredible time for that show to be huge. The way Rod Holcomb shot that scene of me coming in on the gurney. So in a 2-hour pilot, I had 2 hours.
Yeah.
But I was only in 7 minutes of a 2-hour pilot. I was hired as a guest star, Nurse Hathaway, who came in, overdosed on a gurney, and I died. But the last 5 minutes was me on a gurney, really all through George Clooney's eyes, and then Sherry Stringfield and Noah Wiley and Eric LaSalle. And he showed how important my death was through the eyes of the main characters, which elevated my character.
Right.
And I think people were sort of already in love with George in the pilot. And so seeing that he would be sad that his ex-girlfriend came in on a gurney, when they did it with the test audiences hated that I died. And on the exit polling said, she can't die. Thank you, audiences. So I get a call from George. I was just about to take another job. I was back in New York and I was broke and I needed a job. And he said, I wouldn't take a job if I were you. I think they're going to make you a series regular. And what was interesting is so funny. The character comes in and Sherry Stringfield does a Babinski. Now, what a Babinski is you take a pen or a pencil or any sharp object and you put it up the bottom of any patient's foot.
Yeah.
To see if they're brain dead. If they're brain dead, the front toe moves. If they're not, they're not brain dead. So I had a positive Babinski, which was not good. That meant I was not good. Yeah. But Sherry, for some reason, had a clipboard in front of her mouth when she said it.
Yeah.
So they just looped the Babinski's okay. Yeah. And so I managed to live thanks to Sherry putting the thing up over her face and George warning me not to take another job.
And I just love in the book where you talk about George Clooney called me and he's like, I think you better not take that other job, which is like the best call.
I know. And like I think I was 39 on the call sheet or lower. I mean, I literally, like, for him to have done that, to go out of his way to do that was remarkable to me.
We can spend the whole Zoom talking about what a nice human he is, like in ways on camera, off camera. I can't. You and I have already talked about it. The George Clooney fan club on Instagram.
It's true.
There's 2 times that you talk about in this book about your career and your personal life, where you leave something that doesn't serve you anymore. It's so powerful to choose yourself in those moments. I think that it's going to so resonate with readers.
You know, I walked away from $27 million, which became the narrative of my career for a while. She's nuts. She's crazy. It wasn't an easy decision to make, but for me, the whole point of acting was to be able to play different roles and to grow. And I felt after 6 years on the show, which was, I fulfilled my contractual duties. I was ready.
A lot of people don't have the courage to leave something comfortable and stable and sure for something unknown.
Because it is hard. It's scary to walk away from stability. Of course, it's why people stay in marriages they shouldn't be in. It's why people stay in jobs they hate.
Well, let's talk about the relationship that you were in for so long. We don't have to talk about specifics or anything, but I was so really touched by your vulnerability and your honesty.
I did not write this book. This is not a tell-all. This isn't something to throw anyone under the bus. What this is about is self-growth and self-worth, and how little I valued myself in that relationship. How it took me years to realize that the only person I was hurting was myself by not getting out of the relationship. That label, Sunshine Girl, kept just rearing its ugly head in my life because I kept thinking, bring joy to his life, show him how beautiful life can be. But looking back, I realized I don't have that power.
It's a huge lesson that we learn. I don't know why we ever have it in ourselves. It's magical thinking. I think in my 20s, I was like, oh, I can fix this or whatever.
Yeah. That was the big one. I always thought I could fix it.
Yeah.
But that's also, that's also called codependency.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes, I know that story, sister. I'm so excited for people to read your book, Sunshine Girl. I know people are going to really love hearing about your personal life and just your journey. You've lived an incredibly full, rich, interesting life, and with ups and downs. And I feel so privileged to get to talk to you, but I also feel so lucky that we get to work together.
I do too. I really do. Lots of love.
All right.
Bye.
Hi, y'all. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe here or here or here, like somewhere in this area. Anywhere over there.